swings. Now Santa Maria will put up a three. Bang! Santa Maria!
There's Warner. Here comes a headed to jam. Counted for two. Field. Adios! And the Falcons win on a walk-off.
Awesome afternoon, everybody, here at Luke Fruia Motors. Should be an exciting show. We have a lot to talk about, and, well, it's going to be a packed show, just like it always is. Here with me, have a good friend. So, of course, we were talking before. Well, just like introduce yourself.
Yeah, Coach Mark Lozano, originally here from the Valley. Played my ball at TCU. And have been very fortunate to spend a lot of time in doing that, from Little League to professionally in Mexico. So, and I appreciate you guys letting us come on and promoting our Tex Preps organization, which is a nonprofit. And we're out here just to try to educate parents and help the kids in going to the next level.
Exactly, very important as well. We're talking a little bit, of course, about your camp up in Donna, Texas.
Right, there you go.
But going back to it, just you were on here, I believe, a couple of weeks ago as well. I was here listening to it. It's just, what is that all about? Of course, it's combine, and what's it all about?
Right. Well, it's a combination of a combine and a camp. The morning of the combine, which is the U.S. Army Combine Series, is going to be testing numbers, right? So they're going to do the 40, they're going to do the L drill, they're going to do the shuttle, so on and so forth. Then in the afternoon, they're going to do their one-on-ones. So they'll be working with all the coaches that'll be coming here, some local coaches as well. But, you know, guys like Noel Manzoni, Coach Manzoni was a college quarterback at New Mexico State. And, of course, he's coached in the Power 5 schools, UCLA, Arizona, Texas A&M, as well as with the New York Jets. So you're going to get a lot of knowledge, and, you know, we're fortunate to have somebody like him come down here because, you know, he's going to be the type of guy that if he sees a kid that has the ability that he feels they can play at the next level, you know, he's going to talk to them, and he's going to spread the word to the people that he knows all over the country in different schools. Hey, you got to keep an eye on this kid. So we're fortunate to have somebody like that down here for that amount of time to do that. And one thing that Coach Manzoni is also going to do for our kids is now they got to sign up for the combine, but the receivers and the quarterbacks that sign up for the combine are going to be treated to a little QB receiver camp the night before the combine. So that's a little special thing that Coach is doing for us, and I believe we need to take advantage of that.
100%. It's very cool having to have something special like that, a wide receiver and quarterback training camp. We always talk about it, especially in high school football, college, and professional, how important it is for that quarterback to be with his receivers, to be simpatico almost with their receivers, considering.
And we don't get that very often here. You know, when we do, we got to go up north and spend hundreds of dollars just to get that done, and maybe be lucky enough to get around somebody like that. He'll be in our own backyard here in Donna, Texas, June the 20th. They're doing a heck of a job for us, you know, the organization, by allowing us to come and bringing the U.S. Army Combine down here. And I just feel, you know, we need to take advantage of it. The parents, of course, the players need to take advantage of it as well. But without the parents, you know, we can't do this.
100% without the parents. So talking about needing people to sign up. Of course, you also, we were talking about, you have a little interesting, not only combine, but something else that's coming up too.
Oh, yeah, we have a little something special we're throwing. It's kind of an international type little deal that we put together. On July the 1st and 2nd, we will be hosting the Tochito Bowl. That's going to be with, of course, local 5-on-5, 7-on-7 teams that will be able to participate in this tournament with teams from Monterey, from 8-year-old up to high school age. And hopefully we'll have enough organizations that would want to take advantage of that. They can go to the texprep.net, which we have the information on it, and go ahead and enroll there.
All right, yeah. Here to hear first, Tochito Bowl. So of course, as well. Have you all found a place to host that as well?
Yes, it's going to be at the Sparg League Center there in Edinburgh, off of I believe it's Klosner. So not too far, kind of a little bit south of Edinburgh North High School. So we were very fortunate, the guys out there, to offer the field for that. So we're excited about that, and of course the teams coming from Monterey. We're looking at, I believe there's 7 teams in the different age groups that will be making the trip from Monterey to Edinburgh to participate in this tournament.
And have you been able to see those players play at all yet?
Oh yeah, that's one thing people don't realize. Mexico, they've been playing American football for almost 100 years. Some of the universities were celebrating their 95th anniversary in playing American football. Monterrey and Mexico City, of course, are the hub of American football, kind of where it grew. Monterrey, for instance, working closely with their organization, their football league there carries almost 7,000 kids in their program. One organization almost has 1,000 on its own. So American football is pretty big in Mexico.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
Of course, yes, I myself known at our Real Sports Live for being the soccer guy, soccer expert, all of that. And of course, but when it comes to high school, college football, and things like that, it's very, very exciting to me. And even being able to cover, yes, last Thursday might not have been a perfect 7-on-7 football game calling from myself, but once again, when I saw that, it's very exciting. It's intense and just fast-paced and very, very fun. Is that something that it's going to be like?
I think it's grown more, here in the U.S. I think in the years past it's been more of a recreational type, deal. And recently, in the last few years, it's gotten more competitive, especially with our 7-on-7. It's a version of flag football. Here in Texas, it's huge for us. But the flag football level has definitely grown immensely the last few years, of course, with also the women's team from Mexico winning that championship against the U.S. That elevated to another level. But outside of that, they've always played it in Mexico. It's been a very competitive sport. They do them from the little ones, co-ed, men's, women's, the juvenile up to the adult. They have tournaments, multi-team tournaments, national tournaments. They'll play in Mérida. They'll play in La Pesca. They'll play on the beach, where all the games are held in the sand, And then, of course, in Mexico City and cities around there. In fact, Monterrey just had their national tournament that they held, and that was from teams from all over the country of Mexico. Swinging back to the tackle, they also carry national tournaments for their tackle, which is going to be at the end of June. They'll be in Torreón, Coahuila, Mexico. With I believe there's over 22 teams that are going to participate in that tackle U17 tackle national championship.
Yeah, exactly. And I also remember way back in the day, before, of course, things kind of didn't necessarily pan out the way everybody expected to, with, of course, the border and all that. But I remember being told stories, and in my elementary as well. I never played tackle football, but I remember when the All-Stars from McAllen or around the Valley got to travel to Monterey as well,
right,
to play against each other. So that's something that, of course, people haven't necessarily gotten to see that much since way back in the day, in my opinion.
Right.
And so talk about, do you expect to see some type of almost rivalry sort of, or pride, because from teams from the U.S. and also from teams from Monterey wanting to, of course, win?
Of course, no, definitely. I mean, like I said, Monterey and do those things and participate. One of the other things we've been doing the last couple of years, in fact, Coach Tony Verreal from Port Isabel, the Tarpons, stepped up last year, and they were having issues. I think a lot of teams around the state were having issues because they changed their alignments of putting games together. Mm-hmm. So Coach Tony was one of the first ones here recently to go ahead and add a couple of teams from Mexico in his schedule, and they wound up playing 2 teams from Tamaulipas last year, and they're going to be doing it again this year. One of the games will be with a team from the state of Tamaulipas. Another team will be coming from Mexico City. So that's going to be huge. So if anybody wants to see some good football, international football, they got to go check out the games there at Tarpon Stadium in the fall.
Oh, 100%. That sounds like a blast to go watch and to go cover as well for myself. Yes, going to Friday Night Lights and things like that. When I got to start at Real Sports Live, how exciting, how much I had fallen out of love of high school football, and then coming back and being like, and just being amazed
Exactly.
again
Yes, sir.
because it's so exciting and the passion just fills you as a fan and as an announcer as well. And so we can't wait to see that 100%. And I mean, do you have any predictions for those types of games?
We just hope everything comes out well. Nobody gets hurt, of course, and they have a good game for both teams. The boys from Mexico, when they come, they cherish the opportunity to have the experience of coming over here and playing under Friday Night Lights. A lot of them, especially from the smaller states, they hear about it, but they've never participated and never have opportunity. And these guys have the opportunity to do that now, and they look forward to it. They look forward to it.
Very, very exciting. And kind of going back to it too as well, with so many regions in the valley as well as 4A, 5A, 2A, and things like that. What type of benefit would you see with teams not only from Mexico but also for the lower division teams being able to play against those types of opponents too?
I think it gives them a different aspect. We need to here in the valley, to play teams from outside our area. It gets us prepared for the playoffs. And sometimes we know it's tough to do so, but when we have the opportunity, I think we need to take advantage of those things, and do that because again, it elevates our play to be able to compete at that higher level, especially like I said again when it comes to the playoffs. We were very fortunate when I played back. Coach Richard Flores was our head coach at Adam High, and we did those. We played teams from Corpus Christi and San Antonio in the preseasons, and it prepared us for the time we went into the playoffs because basically those are the teams we were going to see when we went into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So and being able to add a team from Mexico to your schedule to get that diversity, I think it would be a good thing.
Or I would definitely hope so as well because, yes, again, going back to it, I'm also a big soccer guy for the RGV, and seeing teams from just the RGV like Sherryland High and all of those being able to go to state and being able to perform and have an opportunity to win a state title just like that. We haven't seen a state champion for Friday Night Lights for high school football in the RGV in a very, very, very long time. So
down the Redskins.
Exactly, back in the 60s, back in 1960, and so it's just very key to being able to what does it take to get to play a team from not only maybe Mexico but also from the upper valley, from out of the valley to be exact, to let's say San Antonio, being able to play them in a pre-district game before going back to there. What does that take and tell? Do you need to know coaches or anything like that?
No, I mean I think a lot of things go into that when you want to do things like that. Going and emphasizing on the players. I think we've come a long way in all the years that I've been involved. Between playing, coaching, and teaching the game. I've been involved all my life, 52 years. My dad was a high school and college coach. Well, he coached in Mexico. That's how I got my flavor. And being a part of the things, football in Mexico he coached with Gus Zabaleta, which was a former high school coach at St. Joe Academy. And they wound up going back in the 60s and 70s and coaching at Monterey Tech. So I was a little kid running around the stadium over there in Monterey during that time. But I think going back to the opportunities that we have to compete against schools from out of the area and our boys, our athletes in any sport really, but it's the mindset. Look at San Benito, the girls softball team. I congratulate them 150%. I mean, they're on the verge of creating history once again, and that's huge for us. But I guarantee you, all those girls are thinking about winning the game. They're thinking about what if or maybe or how come. They're thinking about, hey, we're going to win this game and go to the next one. And that's a mindset. And that's what we need to have, is that everybody collectively have that mindset that no matter what we got to do to win, we're going to do it.
Yeah, and always a good thing having that positive mindset, having that belief that you're going to be able to win it. I mean, that puts definitely to me, it puts extra confidence in myself to be able to think, yes, I'm going to end up winning this game. I'm going to end up getting this job or something like that. It puts that confidence booster. It, to me, gives you that extra 5-10% or something like that that you could potentially need to be at that next level. And so
Exactly.
it's a fantastic thing, fantastic mentality to have as well. So just a very, very cool thing that, of course, you're doing as well. And we look forward to seeing what is in store for a bit more.
Yes, sir. Well, we're trying to do the best we can. We just want to bring things that we normally don't have in the valley, and bring it down here for our kids, so they can take advantage of these opportunities. Because not all of them would be able to go up north and do this, and we want to bring that to our backyard.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things with the combine that we've been very fortunate to do, and that's going to be the stepping stone to doing other things. So we really, encourage the boys and the parents to get involved, to participate, to sign the boys up, the football players that we need out there, so we can have a good showing and we can show them that we are interested in doing more things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and considering almost completely forgot, in about a year or two, we have a football program coming to the Valley, which is UTRGV football. So stuff like that really does help benefit, especially UTRGV.
Yes.
Getting recruits to think, oh, yeah, I can come down here, do this camp, and maybe I'll get recruited by a UTRGV, when, of course, their prestige comes up and things like that. But that is a major thing, getting these types of camps, because going up to Austin, Texas, you got to go up there to cover the one of the charter schools soccer tournaments, but they were having a camp with a University of Texas alum over there. And so he was doing a camp with other players to try to get them ready. Right. So it's a very, very interesting thing to see that we're finally, the Valley in general is finally getting these types of camps to really help benefit players to go to that next level.
No, definitely. Just this past weekend they had the UTRGV Kingsville and Texas A&M Kingsville Javelina camp, and that was a huge success, I think, for both Coach Mike Salinas and for Coach Travis Bush. Quite a few kids showed up, and not just from the Valley. We had kids from Houston, Austin, San Antonio. So that says a lot for us in itself, that we can generate that type of attention with now that we have not only a Division II an hour and a half down the road, but now with a Division I right in our home backyard.
Very cool. Well, it's about 2:26. We'll have a special guest coming on in about 4-ish minutes. So I think we'll go to a quick commercial here. When we come back, we'll have a special guest on, name of Steve Alanis. So we'll be right back here. Thank you for coming on, talking to us. I'm sure that we'll talk a lot more here after the break.
Yes, thank you.
Sail the seas or see the sails. On South Padre Island, that's as hard as it gets. Visit sopadre.com.
Ibanez Tortilleria, serving up freshly made in-house corn and flour tortillas since 1994. Try our delicious menudo, tasty barbacoa, fresh tamales, tacos, variadas with juicy grilled chicken, and tender fajitas. On Mondays, buy one barbacoa taco and get one free if you mention that you're a Bloodhound fan. Located at 4726 Paredes Line Road, Brownsville, Texas. Open every day at 6:30 a.m. till 9 p.m. To order, contact 956-541-9594.
We're La Vida, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Go Cardinals!
We live here. We work here. We love it here. Look for your motors in Brownsville, Texas. We're here for you.
We are West East and we're watching Real Sports Live. East side, strong side.
When you study local at Texas Southmost College, you can choose from over 50 associate degree programs, certificates, and workforce training programs. Register now for summer and fall classes and study local at Texas Southmost College.
We're La Vida and the girl watching Real Sports Live. Go Cardinals!
Hi, I'm Rebecca Castillo. I invite you to visit San Benito and see for yourself the many things this community has to offer. Our offices of economic development offer a variety of business resources to developers, investors, and business owners from small to large scale. Contact us and let us work together on your next business opportunity.
Hello from Los Fresnos CISD, an A-rated Texas Education Agency district. A stands for Academic Excellence at Los Fresnos CISD, where pathways to secondary success are being built for students at the brand new Resaca Middle School campus. A stands for Academic Advancement at Los Fresnos High School, where the College Center provides a jump start on college and career readiness that includes advanced placement classes, dual enrollment options, CTE opportunities, and scholarship money. Los Fresnos CISD, an A-rated and 7-time post-secondary readiness distinction district.
At Harlingen CISD, college, career, community ready is more than just a saying. We've created 12 academies to provide students with access to fields of study that best fit their interests and passions. Within the 12 academies, there are 42 certifications that will aid students in getting a head start on a career upon graduation. Become HCISD proud and enroll today.
Graduation time, time to make some decisions. What's next? Can I afford to continue my education? What are my options? At Brownsville ISD Career and Technical Education, you can graduate from high school with a certificate and or license ready to go to work, debt-free. We have a wide range of programs for every student ranging from audiovisual, law enforcement, STEM robotics, electrical, welding, pharmacy, patient care tech, and many more to choose from. That's why Brownsville ISD is the best choice.
We are McAllen Memorial, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
For quality care, contact Mesquite Home Health and Attendant Services today. In Brownsville at 594 Jose Marti Boulevard, call today 956-361-5558.
We here at Mesquite want to wish all local athletes good luck in today's game.
Music lovers, you have to stop and see the assortment of records, tapes, and records memorabilia at Forever Memories today. Located.
Back live from Luke Fruia Motors. A very exciting time. We have another special guest. His name is Steve Alanis. And, well, Steve, how are you doing?
Good, Jacob. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Ready to talk about your golden days at Notre Dame and golden days for high school football. So it should be exciting. Feel free to introduce yourself, and, yeah, we can get this rolling.
Sure. As you stated, my name's Steve Alanis. I grew up in Edinburgh. Played football for the Bobcats in 83, 84. And earned a scholarship to play at Notre Dame from 85 to 89. Was very fortunate to get some playing time there, and we won. And just the way timing works and luck works, we won the national championship my senior year. And that pretty much wraps up my my football career. Had a lot of good memories, and very just very fortunate in what I've done, been able to do.
All right, so we talked about those memory, or haven't necessarily talked about that memory, but what was your best memory going to Notre Dame? Of course, being recruited and all that. What was that process like, actually? Let's start there. What was the process of kind of being recruited and going there like?
Well, it was pretty interesting. Back then, this is, early 80s, what happened was colleges would send information to high school coaches, and the high school coaches would point out any possible college material or any recruits that they might have on their team. And so they would send information about the players, and then those colleges would kind of form their own little database, and they would get in touch with players by basically by letter. They'd send you a letter with a questionnaire, and you'd fill out different things on there: your height, your weight, your grade point average, your, what position you played, things like that. And you'd send that back to the school, and then they would, take that information, and if they were interested, they would request film of you. A lot of times, and where Mark and I were very, very fortunate, that we had a coach who was very proactive in getting film and getting our names out to different colleges and the different contacts that they had, because that's what the colleges relied on at the time. This is pre-YouTube and videos where people were sending videos of their of what they were doing, their highlights and things like that to everybody. Well, back in the day, if a highlight film basically was someone who had a camera on the sidelines who was putting together footage of you playing and maybe catching some of your highlights on film, maybe news highlights that were put together and produced, and also film, just general game film. But it would have to be, put together and packaged and sent to a college. And our coaches did some of that, from what I understand, and that certainly helped to get us recognition.
Definitely did. I mean, you end up going to Notre Dame. You end up going to a Division I school like that. What was that like going there? Your first kind of thoughts of being at Notre Dame.
Well, it was interesting. It was an interesting time. Just to kind of go back to my recruiting before that, I was recruited by 4 or 5 schools, really. And it wasn't a whole lot. Being down in Edinburgh, you didn't get a whole lot of colleges coming down and recruiting. So I was very fortunate. I played for a really good high school team that made it deep in the playoffs, and I ended up with some good highlights. I had a tremendous quarterback in John Paul Cantu. He was my quarterback in high school, could throw the ball a mile. And back then, in the early 80s, there really wasn't a lot of passing going on. And me being 6'2" in high school as a receiver was a little bit of an advantage there. So I had the highlights. I had the recognition. I was first team All-State. I led the state in receiving my senior year in high school. So I had a lot of stuff going for me. So it was surprising, really. I wasn't heavily recruited, but I was recruited by some good schools, and University of Texas was one of them. They recruited me. The coach there was Fred Akers. Fred Akers had been my dad's coach at Edinburgh High School back in the 60s. So I don't know if a lot of people knew that Fred Akers used to coach in Edinburgh for 2 or 3 years. And he helped my dad get a scholarship to the University of Houston. So he was familiar with me. He knew me, and so he was recruiting me. Another school that was recruiting me was Stanford. Stanford liked my grade point average, and they liked what I could do in the field too. But they kind of faded, actually. They got some commitments from some receivers, some local receivers, and kind of weren't as interested in me. So, interestingly enough, Notre Dame came in kind of late. Notre Dame was pretty late because they needed receivers, and they were lacking in their recruiting class. So you asked me about my first impression of Notre Dame, or what I thought when I got there. The first time I ever saw it was my recruiting trip, and it was in January, and it was a blizzard. Now remember, signing day was February. Mm-hmm. I think it was February or March. Can't remember. I think it was in February, but I was one of the last recruiting classes to take a trip. And so you can imagine, going there in a blizzard. I had never seen snow. I grew up in the valley. It's hot as can be here. It's the opposite of snow. And I loved it. It was something that was different. It was, to me, and I looked at it as actually kind of fun and a new experience. What I will say is the other receiver that was on recruiting trip with me at Notre Dame was a player. His name was Eric Metcalf. He ended up playing running back at the University of Texas back when I played, or he was my age and my grade. So, but we were on our recruiting trip together, and he hated the snow. He was from Virginia and just wanted to get out of the snow, and he wanted to go to Texas. So he ended up going to Texas, and I kind of have a feeling because he chose Texas, it opened up a receiver spot for me, and they offered me to go to Notre Dame. So it was pretty neat. But I loved the campus. I loved the tradition. The snow didn't bother me.
That's something coming from Edinburgh, and the snow not bothering you and bothering somebody else. It's crazy how it was able to work out in the end. For your first game, of course, you're going on to that classic field on campus. What was that atmosphere like?
Every game was sold out. Every game was full, was packed. The tradition there, of course, once you step on campus, once you get into the campus life and everything going on, it was such a wonderful experience. It was so different because I grew up, one, a Houston Cougar fan because that's where my dad went to college, and then two, mostly Texas Longhorns because that's just what I knew. Everybody else kind of liked the Longhorns, so I was familiar with that. But the Notre Dame tradition was something that once I stepped on campus for my recruiting trip, and they started showing me all the old films, and I'm saying, oh yeah, this was like where college football originated. To me, that's what it seemed like. Mm-hmm. So games, you're getting people flying in from all over the country to watch you play and to watch a game, no matter who it was against. Every game was sold out, and it was just a wonderful tradition. And to hear the fight song being played and to be a part of that was just wonderful.
That's awesome. So, was there any pressure when you went there? Were they expecting a lot from you right off the get-go, or did it kind of just gradually increase?
No, when I got there, there was a full receiver room. We had actually, I was recruited by Jerry Faust, who it ended up being, my freshman year ended up being his last year at Notre Dame. But he had we were a throwing team. We threw the ball a lot. Steve Berline was our quarterback. And, he was a passer. And we had receivers just from all over the country, just tremendous receivers. One that stood out to me was Alvin Miller. Alvin Miller was the national high school player of the year when he was coming out of high school from East St. Louis, Missouri. And he was 6'4", could just fly, had just huge hands, could catch, tremendous athlete. Unfortunately, he had a pretty serious knee injury that slowed him up, which is probably why you didn't see him in the NFL. But we also had Tim Brown, who ended up winning the Heisman, my junior year. And Timmy was a sophomore. He was just a year older than I was. And then we had Milt Jackson. We had a lot of receivers because, like I said, we threw the ball, and so they weren't expecting a lot out of me. But my job mainly freshman year was to get acclimated and to do my service on the scout team and things like that, and get to know the offense. But no, the expectations for me didn't come until much later in my career.
Of course, what was your fondest memory of not only your freshman year, but as moving up along the lines of sophomore, junior, and of course your senior year?
Well, freshman year, just getting acclimated and being in the same receiver room as those guys that I'd mentioned, and knowing that I felt like I belonged there. I didn't feel like I was out of my element. I felt like I could play. I had the size, I had enough speed, and I was coordinated enough and was smart enough to know all the plays. So I felt really good about my career there. So as time went on, unfortunately, my sophomore year, Lou Holtz came in following, my freshman year's season. Lou Holtz became our coach. And my sophomore year, I remember having a really good spring. And some of those seniors had graduated and had a really good spring. I was feeling really good. I ended up hurting myself. I ended up pulling a quad pretty badly. And so it kind of, once you got hurt, you were basically thrown away for a while, and they forget about you. So back to the scout team, and luck plays such a large role in football and sports. And that's one thing that I've grown to realize, just the things that happen that get you to the campus, just to get you to Notre Dame, a lot of luck involved. To get on the field, there's a lot of luck involved. It's some of it's good, some of it's bad. But sophomore year I had injuries that kind of kept me off the field. Other things that happened, Lou Holtz came in, and he was a running coach, and he ran the wishbone. So he was a wishbone coach. So instead of throwing the ball 20, 30 times a game, now we're throwing the ball 10 to 12 to 15 times a game, maybe. So my role changed and became more of a blocker. And so you have to deal with that too. That's nowadays kids can just transfer, and it's a lot easier nowadays. You just transfer and go another place. And I always think, if it were easy to transfer, I may have been lured into going somewhere else where they threw the ball a lot and would have missed out on, a national championship and just a great experience. So, yeah.
Hey, to stay on What was that senior year like? You talk about Lou Holtz coming on, but what was he able to, besides running the wishbone a lot, what was he able to change to get your team to that final stage of being able to, well, really back in the day, go undefeated and play for a championship?
Well, when he came on campus, or when he joined our team, the playbook went from about 2 inches thick to about a 1/4 inch thick. So there was a lot less stuff to think about, and so everything was simple. And he had a method, and he knew what every step that every player was supposed to make on every play. He knew everything about it. So he would challenge the players, and sometimes practice was scarier than the games, because if he started, if you made a mistake in front of everybody, he would really do his best to let you know about that mistake. And so he tried to make practice more pressure packed than the games. If you made a mistake in a game, he'd pat you on the head and he wouldn't get mad. He was fine with that. He had to get through the game. But practice, he made it to where it was really, really tough. And so what that did is it actually gave people the mindset that, hey, look, I need to perform. I need to forget about thinking. I need to forget about, what mistakes I could make, get out, do my best. If I got yelled at, learn from it and move on. His whole deal was facing adversity. And so he wanted a team he could depend on that could come across any situation, because he knew that you're going to face adversity, and how were you going to react to that? And that was, I think, what set him apart from the prior coach. Was he was really big on doing your best, doing what was right, and giving it everything you got. And if you did all that, you weren't going to get yelled at. Like I said, not in the games, but in practice, he made it pressure packed to where you were you wanted to be perfect in practice. And then that habit carried over into the games. And so you studied extra. You made sure that you did the extra film work. You did everything it took to try to make sure that you did your part. So my senior year, when it was my turn, when I started that season, I did everything I could to make sure that any mistakes or any things that the team went through wasn't because of me. Any adversity I faced, I tried to persevere and get through, and just do my best to make sure that I wasn't the reason the team was suffering, if they suffered. And we just had, I talked about, luck. The very first game of the year, we played Michigan. That was the very first game I started. It was a night game, national TV on CBS. We played Michigan. I think we kicked 5 or 6 field goals. And I think we may have scored 1 touchdown. But at the end of the game, the Michigan kicker missed a 45-yard field goal. And if he would have made it, game over, Michigan would have won. But he missed it. Game over, Notre Dame wins. And so that starts the undefeated season.
Very crazy, considering, just a very low-scoring college football back in the day is what I picture it 100%. But going back, besides that game, were there any tougher games your senior year where you all could have lost, just like that USC year?
Yeah, well, we played the number 1 team in the country, the 6th game of the season, University of Miami. And that was the Catholics versus Convicts game. I don't know if you remember that. Or ESPN did a special on that, 30 versus 30, 30 for 30 on that, and on that game. But that was actually the last game I started. My backup to that point was Rocket Ishmael. And Rocket Ishmael was a freshman, but Holtz liked seniors because he could depend on him, but he also liked speed. And Rocket had a lot more speed than I did, and he started returning kicks for touchdowns, and he started getting comfortable with the game. So the last game I started was that game against Miami, and it was a wonderful game. It came down to the last play, and we made it on defense, and we won the game. We moved to number 2 in the country after that win. And then the following week, we beat Navy, and the number 1 team at the time was UCLA's. UCLA was number 1, and they lost that next week. That was Troy Aikman's team. They lost to Washington State, I believe. And then we went to number 1 and stayed at number 1 the rest of the season and ended up winning the national championship.
That is absolutely crazy, considering also you were a part of that Convicts versus Catholics game, or Catholics versus Convicts game. You were starting, and of course, well, Lou liked speed over that. A very crazy, I guess, career that you had in college. So after college, you really didn't get. I'm guessing you really didn't get any, or get a chance to go to the NFL.
No, we actually had we had pro days. When you have a pro day is when you sign up to go get your speed checked and your athletic ability. They have you could have your quarterback out there throwing passes to you and everything. And I wasn't much of a prospect because, again, I didn't catch very many passes. We were a running team. Like I said, we'd throw maybe 8-9 passes a game. Our leading receiver was a running back because there was a lot of screen passes and tight end. I think I mentioned Rocket Ishmael. I think as far as receivers go, he had the most catches. He had, I think, 12 catches that season. So we just didn't throw the ball. Tony Rice was our quarterback. And we had Ricky Waters at running back, and Tony Brooks and Reggie Brooks, his brother, and all those guys played in the NFL for a long time as running backs. Anthony Johnson played in the NFL a long time. So we had great running backs, great linemen. The whole line played in the NFL for years. So we were a running team. And the NFL, if you're a receiver, you need to throw the ball. So I could have tried, I guess, but I just kind of saw the writing on the wall and figured I wasn't much of a prospect. So I had my time. I was very fortunate to get my college paid for at such a prestigious university. So I was very happy, very satisfied with what I had done.
That's awesome. And, of course, a kid coming from Edinburgh, Texas, and being able to play in a place where it's known to snow and have blizzards couldn't be any better, considering just getting used to and acclimated to everything, getting to play under Lou Holtz as well, a famous Hall of Fame coach. That's a very, very lucky sort of career in a sense for college.
Absolutely. No, I was very fortunate, very lucky.
All right. And I guess one more question kind of for you is kind of told to ask you about how the Edinburgh North got their colors.
Oh yeah. When I went to Edinburgh, when I was a Bobcat, there was only one school, and I think by my junior or senior year, they were opening a new school, Edinburgh, and they called it Edinburgh North. Well, it just so happens my uncle, who was a coach in Edinburgh, he coached at South Junior High and the junior high level and going into the high school level. He'd been a coach for 20, 30 years, and he ended up being athletic director for a while. Well, he was named the first head coach of Edinburgh North. And I'm not exactly sure whose idea it was, but the uniforms at that time were exactly like the Notre Dame uniforms of my era when I was there. And I remember my uncle coming in to my closet and wanted to see my uniforms, because we got to keep a uniform every year, whatever uniforms we had. So he kind of went through my jerseys and the football pants and was able to come up with one he liked. And sure enough, they used, I want to say it was my senior year's uniform to be Edinburgh North. If you look back and you look at them, they have the gold helmets and the blue jerseys and gold pants, and the fight song is even the Notre Dame fight song. So I feel kind of like I had a little bit something to do with that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for letting us talk to you for about half an hour, Steve. That was a fantastic time to get to talk to you about your college days.
Well, Jacob, thank you. I appreciate it. It brings back a lot of memories, a lot of good memories. Like I said, I was very, very lucky. And, I think about it every day.
Awesome. Well, we'll get to talk to you later, sir.
Okay, Jacob. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, what a fun time. Well, when we come back, we will wrap it up. And, well, this is the Luke Fruia Talkin' Sports show. We'll be right back after this.
North Sam Houston in San Benito, Texas. There's over 10,000 records on display and more coming every day. Looking for your favorite album from the past? First pressings, collectibles. How about a 45 with a single you just have to have? Freddie Fender, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Elvis, Beatles, blues, rock, classics, Tejano, it's all here. Organized and priced for you. Forever Memories, 237 North Sam Houston, San Benito.
See art or create it. On South Padre Island, that's as hard as it gets. Visit sopadre.com.
My son Leo just graduated from high school, but also with his associate degree from Texas Southmost College at no cost at all. Not having that financial burden was so helpful to our family. That's 2 years we did not have to pay for.
All of my TSC credits transferred to UTRGV, and I am so grateful to go into my major debt-free.
Hija, tomorrow's your quinceañera. I need you to call your padrinos and tell them thank you for the salon, the tamales, the dress, el DJ.
Ay, Ama, you called them. I didn't even want a quinceañera in the first place. I would have preferred to have gone to Paris instead.
I will, fine. I'm gonna give you your surprise gift early.
Huh?
Guess what? You're going to Paris.
How?
Well, I've been saving mucho dinero all year in insurance thanks to Pronto Insurance.
Let's just skip the quinceañera and go straight to Paris.
Call your padrinos right now.
Okay.
Ask your agent how you can start saving with Pronto. Best price in town.
Been feeling a little stressed lately? Luckily, South Padre Island has plenty of Or maybe you'd rather have some aww. Now that you think about it, it's been a long time since you've had a good How will you ever decide? Choosing what to do on South Padre Island? That's as hard as it gets. Visit sopadre.com.
We live here. We work here. We love it here. Look for your motors in Brownsville, Texas. We're here for you.
Sherryland ISD, a nationally recognized district focusing on quality and rigorous instruction where every child is immersed in a culture of academic success. A district dedicated to preparing our youth for the future. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower all students to reach their full potential and become leaders of the highest moral character. Sherryland ISD, excellence is our tradition.
Back live we go here to close out this show. Once again, I'm Jacob Young. And, well, what a fun show it's been. We'll take it away.
Oh, no, well, I was glad Stephen was able to come on and give us the history behind what he went through. I think that was huge, and I think it's good for the kids to hear that as well, you know, that somebody was able to take it to that level and do well with it. And it gives them an idea that, you know, not only can Stephen and other guys do it, but, you know, they can too. You know, again, I think Stephen mentioned in his deal, you know, he talked about mindset and what Coach Holtz required of them. And that's what it is. That's what it comes down to, is what you're willing to do. I know many times when I've worked with Nike, I worked with Nike football for 10 years, and some of the things they say is that you got to do uncharacteristic and unnatural things to be better than everybody else. But are you willing to do those? If you are, then you're going to go to another level. But you got to be willing to do that. And, again, that goes back to your mindset. A couple more things. Just want to remind everybody again about the Combine. You know, we really want to take advantage of this U.S. Army Combine because, like I said, again, we want them to come back. So textpreps.net, you can go and sign up through there, or you can go to sdscombines.com and sign up for the event. And then also we want to thank Armia Tech. I know we've mentioned it before, but we're really grateful for these guys and what they do for us. Again, Armia Tech is a digital one-way communication system, which we've shown before. It's a tablet that speaks to a receiver. So anybody that's wearing the receiver is going to receive that message once you send it from the tablet. And it's no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no cellular, so there's no interruptions. And we've had a lot of success in NCAA baseball. And right now, as we speak, we've got a lot of high school coaches that are interested in using it as a practice tool right now because it creates muscle memory. We're still working with the states to get it approved. We've gotten a lot of exposure on that and a lot of leeway going towards that. And right now, I believe the state of Louisiana is going to take the forefront on that in baseball, softball, and football. So we're excited about that happening for us.
Massive deal. I mean,
Yes, sir.
You showed it to me before the show. It looks absolutely amazing. Like you said, no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi, no cell service, no interruption whatsoever. Crazy what technology can do, and it does help. A player, a quarterback, something like that, being able to look and then being able to realize, okay, yeah, no, we just run this play for this time. We run this play this time. Easy, most likely it's going to be like this, and then you can easily call an audible too just in case. So it seems like a very useful tool for everybody. And then, like you said, it's very well done in baseball, which I can see, especially with the pitch clock now,
right?
Which I enjoy that level because now it kind of does go back to the pitcher. It goes back to the batter of you have to be perfect.
Yes.
You have to be perfect off the mound. So very, very cool thing. And, well,
thank you. I appreciate you having us. If anybody wants to check it out, they can go to armiatech.com, and that'll give you all the instructional information, videos, and so on and so forth on it. And, let us know. And I appreciate you guys again for having us on board, and hope to see you guys again.
Yes, sir. And from all of us here at Rio Sports Live, this has been a Rio Sports Live production. What a show we had today. And I can't wait for the next week for this show as well. I've been Jacob Young. This has been a Rio Sports Live presentation. Until next time, adios.